Hello, welcome to Mining Now. We have HE Parts International back on the show. They're doing multiple episodes with us, and every episode just peels back another layer. Their capabilities are absolutely unbelievable. Their expansion story, their history, the way they've grown since 2008, and the acquisitions. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So we're going to have two guests from HE Parts on. We're going to have Phil Strapp. He's a general manager, mining solutions at HE Parts. And we're going to have Matthew Brick. He's a sales manager, DOMX at HE Parts. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Yeah, great to be here, Jared. Thanks for hosting us.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. Good to see you.
Yeah, we're covering a lot of ground with HE Parts, but you're one of those companies. The more you do, the more you just like. We did the cooling side of things, and about halfway through the interview, I realized I'm not even putting a dent in this with this interview, and I'm sure the DOMX side is going to be the same. Matthew, can we start with you? Just can you give us a little bit of a history? We've touched on it, but we haven't really covered it in the other episodes. Just a bit of the history of HE Parts.
Yeah, it's interesting, the DOMX side of the business. They're actually one of the first companies bought by HE Parts. So then they've celebrated 40 years of history now. So before HE Parts bought them. We really get involved with, buying used equipment or surplus parts and offering that to customers globally. And it's a really interesting story and how it combines with now our additional capabilities and remanufacturing and service exchange components through our other divisions. So it's a great story.
When you say like on the used equipment side, what's the range of equipment we're talking about historically and now?
Yeah, so Caterpillar, Komatsu, and Hitachi equipment. We look at production equipment and ancillary. So, mainly off-highway trucks, dozers, graders, and that kind of equipment. And then we dismantle it and offer it to customers in, potentially on surplus new, remanufactured, or used inspected. And that's complementary with our other divisions. Doing remanufactured components as well on a service exchange basis. So it really is a whole capability for the company.
What's the big value add? I mean, obviously there's going to be multiples, and we're going to cover that. But is a big part of it just finding the replacement parts, which are obviously some of them are hundreds of thousands?
It is, yeah. And I guess the solution we provide our customers is, where there's a component they have for their critical machinery on site that's beyond economical repair, or they want an additional component to have in their own stock, we're able to offer that outright for them to have and own. So it's that could be finding hard to find, unique, rare components and parts. From very early model machinery or, late model, hard to source parts. And we just give them another option outside their traditional channels.
What stands out to me right off the bat is the supply chain challenges over the last couple of years. That must have, having that capability and already having all that infrastructure in place, that must have put HE Parts in it at a huge advantage to expand their market.
Yeah, and definitely, and Phil can attest to this. With the other divisions as well, having such a big global footprint that we're able to lean on, multi-use facilities across the globe. We've probably got 30 plus global facilities. We've expanded into South America, Africa, Australia, the US in one form or another across different divisions in the last few years. So some have been new expansions where we haven't operated in a particular region or country. Others have just been increased capability where we're just expanding on what we've traditionally done, which is interesting on the DOMX side. Traditionally, the US has been our stronghold where we developed out of Minnesota. And in the last 18 months, we've got in-country representation in South America, Africa, and Australia. So it's good providing our customers the local support, but on a global search where we are able to source parts or equipment, and then we're adapted moving that around the globe to where it's most needed by our customers.
Let's talk about our heavy industry tour brought to you by Savannah Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide, and Geograph, solving customer challenges through innovation and design, higher performing parts, engineered solutions, on-time spare parts supply, and high quality repairs. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsmen.com to be part of Crownsmen's Heavy Industry World Tour. LiveMine is the data management solution for the digital mine, making mining operations paperless through an intuitive and easy-to-use app developed by mining professionals with decades of real-world experience. Trusted by operators in 7 countries across the globe. Get better and more accurate data faster than ever and throw away your paper plods, PDF printouts, and shift sheets. Visit livemine.com.au to learn more. Does your mine plan keep up with changes on site? When it comes to managing a mine, you never know what's around the corner. When conditions change and you need answers yesterday, don't get held back by your scheduling software. With Micromine Elastri, you can explore a broader range of scenarios, rapidly test options, and slash your waiting times. Account for more in your mine plan and be ready with the right answers when questions arise. It's time your software matched the pace of your site's demands. Visit micromine.com/Elastri to learn more.
Just quickly go back to, so was Domex, has its function transformed a lot, like even since 2008? I mean, a lot of things have changed. Sort of where was it and sort of what were those landmarks to where it is now?
Yeah, I think it started in Minnesota, 40 years ago as a small family-run business, and there's been several step changes up until then. But where we are now is have the global experience, learned knowledge, and learnings from our HE Parts, business, and we've expanded into these new regions. So where we'd operated specifically out of the US, we're now searching for used assets to dismantle and offer to our customers, and then also we've got in-country representation to make it easy for our customers to deal with someone locally on the ground, but has the remit to look globally and have access to global parts and solutions for their business. So it's really is a success story, I guess, in that regard for internally, and then for our customers, it's just makes it easier for them to get their equipment running and keep it running for longer.
Yeah, Phil, I want to bring you on this now because so I've torn down, I've either taken equipment out or torn down a mine or two. Not near to the extent that a lot of people have, but you can have almost these conversations. We got a beautiful piece of machinery behind you. We'll reference that soon. But we're in a studio. Everything. You sort of lose what it actually means to source equipment in the mining world. It's big, it's heavy, it's in remote areas. Can you walk us through just what the process is of even putting this together at a global scale?
Yeah, Jared, it's the Domex side of the business really sort of value adds the HE Parts value proposition to our clients. Our theory is that we work on that nose to tail offering to the customers, that we can go and source those hard to find equipments. Domex can go and do that for us, and then we can tie into the conversation. The importance in the current market of sustainability and keeping machines operating for as long as they can in their asset life can be extended by going and finding those harder to find items around the globe. So that's why we see it as a great bolt-on or addition to our value proposition with us at HE Parts.
When you're sourcing, I'm getting to secret sauce, just say, skip. That's but just sourcing the equipment, can that be quite a challenge? Because I'm just kind of going through, just in my own head, I'm thinking all the years as equipment gets bigger and bigger, different sizes, mixed fleets. Companies have all these trucks, but they're mixed fleets in different years. I'm just trying to sort of wrap my head around, again, on that global scale. Like I could see, Minnesota, a few surrounding states. I kind of get it. When it gets to that global, my mind can't quite jump there. Just the ability to source all that.
Yeah, I think the eyes that Domex have around the globe and the channels and the relationships that they have to ask the right questions to say, where can we find this piece of equipment? And then we can actually go to our customers who are interested in extending the life of their assets before transitioning to a new fleet. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market at the moment. What does the transition to green energy mean to our mining fleets? So people are sitting there and going, well, we need to get as much value out of our equipment before we look at a transition.
CIM is Canada's leading technical institute dedicated to the sustainability of our industry. Members enjoy professional growth opportunities through CIM libraries, publications, webinars, societies, and the job board. Experience the CIM community firsthand at the Conference of Metallurgists, August 19th to 22nd, iCard, September 16th to 20th, and the CIM Health and Safety Conference, October 6th to 8th. Visit CIM.org for more information and join CIM today. Capital Limited are a leading global mining services provider with expertise across the entire mining value chain. Their end-to-end services include exploration and production drilling, in-surface and underground operations, load and haul, as well as assay laboratories. For 20 years, they have delivered best-in-class safety performance, professionalism, and reliability to customers worldwide. Capital have recently expanded into the Americas, where they continue to deliver the highest standards of excellence in mining services. Learn more at capdrill.com.
Right. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. So they made these huge investments in these machines. They're looking at it going, okay, well, we can't buy a new one because 3 years from now we might be at a completely different shift. So this is a good option to sort of maintain their current fleet.
Yeah, I think the view, Jared, is that it really is the source of the energy is the challenging one. That's going to be the green source versus the traditional combustion engine. It's still for us is how you get that energy to the ground to drive the components and the equipment to move material to market. So for us, that's what we really want to do is get in touch and lead with, I guess, the thinking about what that looks like into the future, but also with an eye to supporting our customers to drag, or the drag's probably not the right term, but to extend the life of the current fleets to its maximum life, to give them the opportunity to make those financial decisions of what their fleets are going to look like in the future.
Matt, you look like you want to jump in there.
Yeah, just doubling down on what Phil said, Jared. The I guess the history and relationships that Domex and HE Parts have allowed the business as a whole to build, whether it be in remote parts of Africa, the US, Australia, different countries in South America. We've got partner relationships, service providers, and that. So when we do come across unique opportunities to acquire a whole truck or a bulldozer and stuff like that, being able to break that down and then give it to provide it to our customers in other regions. And, there is a unique skill set, I think, that Domex have got. And, you mentioned secret sauce. I don't know if it's that secret, but it's definitely a unique skill set that we have within our business to acquire these parts and then to re-offer them to our customers. So it's, as Phil said, it works hand in hand, providing customers with an outright component as needed in a used condition, or potentially offering surplus new, where we help customers alleviate some inventory concerns or stock they no longer require to support the assets they've got on their mines. Yeah,
it's you said something that secret sauce is usually skill set. You find at something that looks so complicated, and then you're like, oh, there's people that know how to do it, and it's you see other people try to duplicate it. We see it in production quite often, actually, and it's not magic. It's just knowing how to do it and knowing all those little steps. Is this equipment? I mean, is it coming from all over the world to all over the world? Is that? I mean, I would imagine in place of replacing an entire vehicle or something, I could see that it would still be cost effective. But is it coming to your facility? Refurbishing it, going through it, getting it to a new standard, then shipping it out globally, like just sort of some of the logistics of these units.
Yeah, and that's one thing, I guess, the condition and how we acquire different components and inventory for sale changes from instance to instance. But essentially, we have the ability to provide as I mentioned, a used part, a remanufactured or potentially surplus new, where it's a new OEM condition part that's has no longer been required from a source. At that point, we then make the determination: is it where we stock it around the globe, where customers require it, and work with our customers and internally across all our regions to make those or to have those parts in the most appropriate region. So it really is whatever the best solution is for the customer.
Matt, could you put it into sort of a real world scenario? Actually, give some examples of some of these products that you're bringing into the market.
Yeah, definitely. And, a recent example probably involves several parts of the HE business to solve a customer requirement. We had a new surplus engine, Cummins engine for a particular make and model of truck. We'd sourced in one region. We'd shifted it to Australia and to a second region. And we had a customer that required the same style of engine, but for a different make and model of truck. So we had a Domex new asset or a new component. We allowed us to shift it to our engine division team, who converted it to a different style of make and model that suited another type of equipment, and we were able to help a customer with a surplus new engine that they weren't able to get locally through multiple divisions within HE Parts. So it was allowed us to pull several levers and solve a customer problem. So it was a really good recent example.
So do they know what they need when that conversation started? Were they saying that we like why? Can you say it again? So the truck, the engine that was in it, they were swapping it out for not a replacement engine. This was actually going to be a different engine.
Right. So we had an engine that there's different types of engines, whether it's Caterpillar or Cummins engines. There's different suitability. They're usually set for one particular make and model. You can convert them in some instances to suit other makes and models of machinery. So, and that's exactly what we did. We were able to offer a surplus new engine to a customer at a cost-effective price, and got our engine division to certify it and test it, and give it to a customer that otherwise wasn't able to source that component, being an engine in that condition.
Is that an important point for people that are watching? And is that it doesn't necessarily need to be a swap. I imagine people in the industry know it more so than myself, but that you can also source based on what will work, not just trying to find a replacement part.
Correct. Yeah. Obviously we've got access to a lot of the latest and later model components, which is key to our customers, but also where they're hard to find or unique parts, there can be instances where there's cross-referenced parts that we're able to provide. There are some different equipment on the market that can use, a couple of different part numbers for the same style of, component they require. And, we just offer a different option, being late model, or it could be slightly different compatible products, et cetera. So it's, really just coming back to keeping the customer's assets running and be able to provide a solution.
Okay, just quick stop. Do you want to use it? Oh, sorry, Phil, you were going to step in on there.
Yeah, Jared.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jared, I suppose this speaks to our agility and our value proposition to our customers, is that a customer will come to us with a problem, and our experience base can leverage that to identify a possible solution that they may have not thought of. And so we're repurposing, for example, we're repurposing an engine core, repurposing to do another task. So that's an example of where we are leveraging our experience base and that whole end-to-end nose to tail value proposition, the secret sauce.
The secret sauce. Yeah. I've just, again, this is just my own curiosity. Are you seeing that happening within, let's say someone has a fleet, but then the environment that they're changing?
I'd say, sorry to get in there, but I'd say in response to that, it's more of those one-off occasions where there are known capability shifts or repurposing within the market, but also a customer's got a unique problem they haven't experienced before. Here's an example that we can go, well, have you thought of doing this? This is what we can do to deliver and get your machines operational.
How often do they come to you with when that you've mentioned a couple of times the nose to tail? How often are they coming to you saying, we need this? And then by the time the conversation's done, they realize, oh, you can do all of this. Is that still a conversation, or are they pretty in tune with HE Parts?
Jared, it's a good question, and it's a developing understanding of our value proposition, and that's what we've brought and acquired the likes of Domex here to do that, while we've tied in cooling and mining solutions and engine division, so we can actually present to the customer. If you understand, the tier one customers, they've got multiple fleets. right? Because they've taken the view to de-risk their exposure to different fleet types. Should there be recalls or failures. So we can actually source and we provide solutions across those different fleets for them. So that's where people are now got in the habit of coming to ask the questions of us. We've got this problem. What can you help us with?
Any examples for you, Phil, that sort of stand out, that sort of exemplify what HE Parts is capable of?
Yeah, I think it's that flexing in demand across certain fleets and regionals. For example, Australia is divided up into East Coast and West Coast mining regions really for us. And we then, if we've got a demand for a certain product on the West Coast, we can transfer items across from Mackay to Perth to support, say, an iron ore operator in the Northwest. We've also done that now globally. We've sourced some components out of the US, which were not as in high demand, and they're on the ship now that we can then support the ongoing service exchange program for one of our tier one clients.
And can we sort of tie what we're talking about with a specific example into just kind of going back to some of the expansion that HE Parts is seeing or is planning doing, has already happened? Just go to walk us through it.
Yeah, Jared, we've recently made the move across from Welshpool to Kewdale in Perth, which has increased our footprint by 300% for the mining solutions business. We were really constrained. Our equipment, in particular, say the 930E Komatsu equipment, is just incredibly large and cumbersome. So we needed extra craneage and an extra footprint to do that. So this move has enabled us to get a much more efficient flow. We've also got about 25% of this new facility, which is 5,000 square metres under roof, that we've committed to expanding our engines business. So we're replicating what we've got in Mackay, which will have a engine dyno and a transmission test bench set up here in our sort of early calendar year next year. We get that dyno start to be built. We've got the outer shell of the facility here. We've just got to put the bones in it and get up and running. So we expect to be around that March-April period that we put our first engine through the dyno in anger. So that's really exciting. We're looking at then going back to Mackay and looking at what that looks like in the future, consolidating our footprint and being more efficient with our facilities there, and then with an eye down to Newcastle or the southern end of the coal corridor, that we're also looking at consolidating and increasing our capability in that area.
Once you expand into an area like that, you said three. So what do you mean by 300% when you say that?
Oh, look, so I think we were just over, it was about 1,200 square metres under roof that we can, some limited craneage capability. We're now at around 4,000 square metres under roof. Our tonnage, our craneage has gone from two 20-ton cranes to 2 25-ton cranes, 4 10-ton cranes. There's all the ability, just that flexibility to meet and move the big equipment. For example, behind me is the 930E wheel group that weighs, with its transport stand, 21 tonnes. So that's a fairly hard piece of equipment to manoeuvre, lift and roll around. So in order to improve our safety, reduce our risk within the workshop, we created the space, we improved our craneage, and it just improves the flow. The less we can move these, less we can put our people near these items whilst they're under lift. That's a really good outcome for us.
I'm curious about the on the sales side of it. Once you go into a market, you do this expansion, you increase the capability. Now, what are the conversations that you have with clients? It's just, I mean, a lot of them are probably already your clients, but what is the next step? Do you go to them and say, this is what we have? Do you already have, clients that are saying, well, once you're ready, this is what we're going to need? What is sort of the next, let's say the next 18 months look like once that facility comes into online?
Jared, this facility was all about demand-driven client expectations. So conversations with our customers saying, this is what we expect our demand to be. What can you do to help us? So that led our decision to transition to this new facility. And the next 18 months is continuing those conversations. They're talking to us about, we expect our long-term planning. These are the number of units that we expect or we need help with on the site, on each mine site. So we map it out. We go searching for service exchange or repair and return items to support their mine operations. So it's all about interface and collaboration with our clients.
And I think just doubling down on what Phil said, Jared, the key to HE parts, regardless of division, is being brand agnostic. You can come to us for whether it's Komatsu, Caterpillar, trucks. We look at dozers. So in one instance, we could be solving a customer issue with a 930E wheel motor like we have behind us. In the same instance, we could be talking to them, assisting with Caterpillar trucks, dozer track frames, for example, from the dozer, from the Domex side. So that, really is, I guess, that flexibility and being able to provide a solution in a range of different options to a customer that, really sets HE Parts apart.
One thing I was going to also ask is just about, like, with this new facility or just in general, that nose to tail is just a little bit about sort of your plug and play approach for clients actually going in and getting things installed. And that is it. What's your approach? And I would kind of want to tie this into that. A lot of the mine operators, I brought it up on the other shows, but it comes up all the time in the industry now, is just they're limited on people. So they need companies like HE Parts to come in, work efficiently, but they also need, they don't have just excess amount of people to operate. So what's your approach and sort of your solution to that?
Yeah, Jared, I guess it ties into our whole philosophy, and the origin of HE Parts is Barana. So it's sort of 50 years of innovation and providing mechanical solutions and meeting the problems for the customers. I'll give you a recent example. Is we're having discussions with providing full corner offerings. That is, normally you'd send a suspension assembly and a wheel group to site for a front corner, and then on site they'd need to join those two together and then install with on their trucks. So in conversations with the clients, they're looking at, can we remove that risk of joining those two items on site? We can do that because we've got the craneage, so it's less risk, and it's really a plug and play option from them, straight off the truck or the transport or the freight truck into the workshop, and in one corner off, one corner on, and the machine's back in service. So that's what we're trying to do, and develop those conversations further. And the idea there is to reduce the risk on site. Also reduce the need for human capital on site, because it's hard. The demand for humans right now and to get them to go to remote sites is fairly challenging. So if we can help our customers reduce that need on site and reduce the risky activities on site, then that's us helping our customers.
Are there any projects that we can look at to bring it home to our Canadian audience that HE Parts has been involved with?
Yeah, definitely. And I think from the Domex side and HE Parts, different divisions, there's a customer runs a diamond mine in Canada, actually, that's extremely hard to gain access to. It's remote. The roads and access freezes over. It's up towards the Arctic Circle, I believe. And then, you're making sure they have the components they need that can support their equipment year round is a difficult scenario, and one that, that we like to think we provide a good solution to. I think, Phil, from an Australian point of view, we have those same instances in Australia or in other regions where these remote sites require our support.
I think, Jared, it's globally, it's a tyranny of distance, and that is it's hard to get big pieces of equipment to a mine site in a hurry if something breaks. So the idea, your roads in Canada freeze. We have a wet season up in the north, which they're now roads, and accessibility, they flood. So the ability to, reduce and improve our turnaround times, reduce risk to our customers on having that downtime of the machines on site. So they're the conversations we just keep having. With those accessibility issues becomes our response is important to ensure that continuity of supply of componentry to site. And that's where the conversations with our customers, we talk all the time. What are their high risk elements? Where are they short? And what gaps can we fill?
I wish I was a fly on the wall for some of these. Like you're referencing Canada. I mean, there's, these ice roads, you've got a little window of time. We've done like lubricant episodes before where they're talking about trying to get supplies in. Just wild stuff. Not wild in that the delivery of it, but keeping it from being wild, I guess, is a better way. And actually operating efficiently in these, you're talking about the Australian flooding in Canada, just the cold and the harsh climate, up north. It's pretty amazing. I wanted to circle back just, Barana. Can you just, and I don't know who wants to take it, but just to give the audience a little more explanation for anybody who doesn't know the Barana part of HE Parts.
So next year, Barana turns 50. Barana's origin is in Adelaide, South Australia, and it's starting off as an engineering proposition. The owner of Barana loved his race cars, so it's all about driving engineering efficiencies.
Right.
So that's how it built. It built its reputation on engineering improvements, and not just remanufacturing and rebuilding equipment, but remanufacturing, rebuilding stuff so it lasts longer. So the reputation of Barana, which has then rolled into the reputation of HE Parts to deliver high quality, reliable, remanufactured parts. And so that's the story, and that's the philosophy that we want to keep riding into the future.
What are your thoughts? And maybe I'd like to hear both your thoughts on it. Is just circling back to that capabilities as we wrap up the interview, is just the power that HE Parts is now getting in the industry to be able to deliver. This is the more that I've done these interviews, and I've done so many interviews about mining. This is standing out to me as it's sort of another level of delivery to the clients. And I'm not just saying this, because we're promoting HE Parts. I really am talking about the logistics, the infrastructure, the global reach, maybe just your personal outlook on the advantage. You've both been in the industry. How do you see HE Parts positioned in a fairly competitive industry?
Again, Jared, it's a really good question. I think it comes down to trust. We've established that trust with our customers that we can deliver, and validation of that trust is the term that's now used is preferred alternate supplier. And for us, that's a really, really important move from that transactional relationship with the customer to all right, we've got a problem, we call HE Parts. And that comes back and circles back to the point I made at the start is trust. That when they call, that we'll come up with a solution that's enduring.
Yeah, and trust isn't capability. It isn't what you say. It's your capabilities and be able to do it on time and go beyond even what they know is their problem and do a whole solution like you've talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think with that as well as maturity as a whole business. Elements of our businesses have been established in a particular region, strong in particular regions. We're now sort of shifted to expanding that capability. We have most of our businesses having capability in country or in region in most parts of the world, supporting our customers locally with globally hard to find or source components, and that really I think is the growing and maturity of our business as a whole is what sets us apart.
Yeah, I guess what strikes me is what I was getting at earlier is the depth. It's I'll become really Canadian here. Is like a hockey team. You see the hockey teams that they kind of plug all the gaps, and they got a guy that can dig in the corners. They got a score. They got defense. You've got. And there's some companies that seem to have it. I don't know. I don't know if I met many companies that have it better than HE Parts. You just seem to be piecing together this. It's just got a bit of everything and coming. I imagine even Australia mining. You've got the U.S. mining. These different cultures within mining. Sort of they're now overlapping and sharing knowledge. Just the culture of the people that are coming in.
I think one of the things is commonality of requirement. There are certain components that are required globally. There's also certain components that or equipment that was prevalent in a particular region now that isn't, or they have greater or less part scarcities. So being able to have the right right component or the right service in the correct region, or being flexible enough to provide that capability or component by shifting it globally, I guess is one thing that HE Parts has certainly matured into, and is able to help our customers in that regard.
It's pretty exciting, and thank you both for doing the show. These episodes, it just, I've said it many times on the show, but when people do multiple episodes, it gets better and better, and you'll see the audience actually often engaging more and more because they start to understand who they're actually hearing. They're not, the first episode, it's just sometimes not enough. So thank you both for coming on the show, walking through everything. I know I probably missed a few things that we would have liked to talk about, but hopefully we get to do it again.
Oh, thanks very much, Jared.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. Appreciate it.
Okay, and thank you everybody for watching. Thank you HE Parts and their team for putting all this together. It's a lot of work organizing all these different episodes in different locations, so we really appreciate everybody taking the time, especially Brooke. Shout out to her who helped sort of coordinate this whole thing, and Gowdy on site, and Mubarak here in studio. And thank you for watching these episodes, because it just wouldn't happen if you didn't watch. Please keep subscribing. Check out the descriptions below for links to HE Parts and some specific links to what we've talked about today, like case studies, things like that. And we will see you on the next episode of Mining Now.